Well, the other day on the internet, I saw a picture I thought was pretty cool. Some feller propped up his modern sporting rifle. Real nice LaRue of some sort, again a fence post. It's a gear in a pile there. 1911 and what looked like a Raven Kydex holster. GPS, fire starter, some med stuff and all that. And he took that picture and he put a label on it. Ranch EDC ain't city EDC. And I thought, well, by God damn, this old boy's got it pretty right. And some of the stuff he used, ain't stuff I use, ain't stuff I do use. So I thought I ought to shoot this here old video on, well, ranch everyday carry. We'll start with the stuff a man ought to have in his pockets and on his belt. Pretty much around here, you leave the house in the morning, you don't got you a Leatherman tool on your belt, you're naked. Everybody ought to know what the hell a Leatherman tool is. I mean, basically it's just this here pair of pliers, a bunch of tools in the handle. Got yourself a file and some screwdrivers, a little pair of scissors in this one, a can opener, a knife blade, and a little saw. Most of the time though, you're just using your pliers and that wire cutter there. Hard to get by without one. But without this leather case here on your belt, you might as well not even put on breeches. I used the leather case and not the nylon. This here leather, it can get wet and it can get tore up. You just oil it up and take care of it. She'll take care of you. But you get that nylon and it gets torn up. Once it's tore up, it's just tore up. And it won't last very long out here. You go with the leather. Of course, next to the leather, and that Leatherman in that leather case there, got you a pocket knife. You ain't gonna get very far in this world now. A lot of boys, they like them pocket knives with the real traditional look and that nail nick, you gotta open it up with your fingers. And a lot of fellas, they like them thumb studs like that, even with that assist on there. It's just all a matter of taste. A lot of fellas, they like a faster opening knife, just in case you need it in a real hurry. You get that faster opening knife out like that, and you can cut real quick. But you leave the house without a good pocket knife, you ain't doing real good. Of course, a lot of fellas, they like fixed blades. Some even carry both. Nothing too complex. Small little drop point, something like a hunting knife almost. That's what most of us have. Real good for cutting off nuts, cutting through rope. Not too big to get in your way. A lot of fellas, you'll see them carry that knife in that case. This one ain't made for it, but you see a lot of them fellas carry that knife in that case just like this, right there next to their belt buckle. The belt buckle will be right here where my fingers is. And that knife like that, you just grab a hold of it and pull, and it's there in your hand. Real hurry if you need it. Fella gets a little experience on him, he finds out that might be real handy in a fight too. A little fixed blade like this, again, nice leather case, it'll take you a long way. Of course, that's not all you really need in your pockets. If you're out to do some serious work, well, my daddy, he always would carry a GI field dressing in the Shap's pocket of his Shap's when he was out to ride. He'd carry that GI field dressing all the time, but anymore there's so much better stuff out there. This here's about the size of a GI field dressing all pack up. This here's got that blood stopper gauze. You get that blood stopper gauze and you pack it there in that wound, it'll stop it right up. Another little pressure dressing there in the middle, and a tourniquet all held together with a little bit of inner tube cut up like a rubber band. That tourniquet there is one of them rubber ones. You get that stretchy rubber and you can wrap up a busted up leg, you can splint up a sprained ankle on yourself or an animal. You even get yourself snake bit, and you wrap that up with that compressive wrap on a snake bite like them Australians do. Out here, something you can use for more than one thing, real useful. And rubber tourniquets like that are great out here. You can put all this in your pocket and you're all set for all kinds of stuff. An old cayuse pitch you off and you land up in a tree with an old dead tree limb stuck through your side. You pack that combat gauze in there, wrapped up with dressing, put a tourniquet on the arm, it's all cut up, anything you need. Of course, that old cayuse pitch you off. We don't really do cell phones out here. Cell phones don't work when you're a long way out. And it's here 21st century, you still got places where you can't talk to somebody on the phone whenever you want to. That's the way a lot of us like it, but if you need to get in touch with somebody, something simple, like this here little signal mirror, worked pretty good. Signal mirror catch the sun. You can shine a long way, all the way back to your home place or back somebody riding by. I'm out there looking for you. At night, you got that disc or reflective stuff like they got on them life vests on boats. You shine a light on that, or you can pick up a set of car headlights with that. Works real good, and this one here has got clip on it. You can just put it in your pocket, use it like a money clip it around a little bit of money or something. Just wrap it up, put it in your pocket, or you can clip it on some of your rigging, wherever you need it. This is our communication technology out here. You get pitched off that horse and busted up, the horse takes a fall and he's busted up and you're a long way out, you might just want somebody to come get you. This here will help with that. Something else my daddy always carried in his pockets when he was out was he'd carry a bunch of kitchen matches soaked in paraffin to keep them waterproof. I like something a little bit better here. These cotton tabs, they're soaked in some kind of a really flammable wax. They're pretty waterproof. I keep them in a plastic bag. All them ferrocerium rods right there. That rod, you strike it with your knife and it'll make a spark. About 1,000 degrees will make a spark. Light one of these up real quick, get some of that dry grass that you got all around, some pine needles off a tree. You'll be in pretty good shape with that. Of course, your gun. Now some fellas, they like them semi-automatics and they like them big rifles. I got a rifle and I got some semi-automatics, but when I'm out, I like a 6-gun. They're not too mechanically complex. You can keep one working and they'll do pretty much what you need them to. What I like in one, I like one with a good long barrel there. Firing a pretty good sized cartridge, something fast. Really reach the distance. You get an old coyote running across out there, you want to pop him one. This thing will reach out a couple 100 yards if you're a good enough shot. You can see they're worn, but they ain't abused. That's the way ranch guns look. Get that bluing worn off them, but pretty clean, well oiled. It'll go bang every time you want it to. You carry it in leather, just like everything else. That leather, you get it wet molded. Get this gun here, you put it in a plastic bag. You soak this in the drinking trough overnight. Slide that gun, that plastic bag up into it and put a sack of flour on it. It'll do you pretty good. That leather will draw down, it'll hold real tight. A lot of fellas, they don't like them 6-guns because they say they don't hold enough or they ain't fast enough. But I'll tell you God's honest truth, boys. My granddaddy and my daddy, they both carried 6-guns and they both killed men. That's good enough for me if I need it. Day-to-day ranching stuff, you ain't gonna need to kill nobody. And if you do, that'll do if you'll do. Now if I was down there on the border somewhere and I was worried about them narcos coming across and trying to take my stuff, running them drugs, then I might do something different. But up here, this is pretty good for me. Just carry some extra shells, that old 6-gun, it'll do. Now you get into that stuff that you might be carrying but not in your pockets. This kind of stuff you can stuff in a saddlebag or in the console of that old truck when you're out. You know, a lot of fellas think if they're out there in that truck they don't need nothing. But you learn out here pretty quick that the truck is probably the most unreliable piece of equipment on the whole damn place. You got folks that'll just keep going and going. You got horses that'll just keep going and going. Dogs, women. But that old truck, that'll let you down about the second it gets a chance. So you figure you're in that truck out there, you might need some of this stuff. Of course, you're on that old horse. That old cayuse, he decides to pitch you. Well, some of this might come in handy too. A lot of guys, they're like, well, I'm a cowboy, I'm not no backpacker. I don't need no little backpack. Well, me, I always carry one. This one's like an ultralighter's backpack, and folks like to carry as little as they possibly can. It doesn't weigh very much. It'll fold up in a little ball. I can put it in the saddlebags or in the truck. Of course, I always put a hydration bladder in there too, because, well, you see these fellas who go out with no water, but a real cowboy, he's smarter than that. A real cowboy knows the value of water. So you want to talk about ranch EDC, water, not some little sports drink or some fancy stuff that comes in a little tube, but actual water, a whole sack full of it right there in this backpack. That'll do you, better than even a canteen. But in there was stuff you get by on. Good pair of buckskin gloves. You can't get no work done without a good pair of double palm leather gloves, and buckskin's about the best you can get. It's soft and comfortable, but it's tough. You get these guys who like their tactical gloves with the nylon and the hard knuckles and all that. You start working, doing real work with those things, and they get all tore up. The leather here, this pair here is about 10 years old. You can see they hold up good, real comfortable. They help cut the wind, add a little bit of warmth around your hands. Really all you need. Now say you're out there and you see somebody's been on your place and you want to get a photo of their tracks. Well, you carry this camera here. There's a lot of beauty out there in nature too. Sometimes you just need to stop and take a moment and record it. That's what that camera's there for. Take pictures of your stock, take pictures of your grass. Keep track of how that stuff's going. Watch tracks. Watch how erosion moves. Carry a flashlight of some kind. Headlamp's almost always best, because then you can always work with both hands and still have a good light source. You're working with both hands, you want to be able to see. Well, it does get dark. Headlamp's the way to go. Back to staying in touch with people. This here is a fusee. They call it a red signal flare. We always call them fusees. It's just a short section of a road flare. Works just like one, but it only burns about 5 minutes. But it'll burn up to 2,000 degrees or so. You need to start a fire in wet wood, in snow, something like that. This here will get you a fire going in some really wet shit. Plus, you can see it a long way even during the daytime. Particularly at night, that 5 minutes will be the brightest thing around. Somebody will be able to find you right quick. That gets into the survival stuff. Any cowboy who's smart enough to carry water instead of some gimmicky little tube, he's smart enough to carry survival gear. Now in here you got the usual stuff. Got you a compass. Good quality linsatic compass. Do you a lot of good. I know cowboys who could replot a fence line when one been tore down using just one of these. If you know your territory, and if you're out there and you're on that ranch and you don't know that territory well, you better just go home and get yourself an apartment, son. Just go into that city and rent yourself out a little apartment and start wearing a beret and sandals, because you don't belong in the country. One of these gets you a long way. You know where you're at. You don't need no GPS to tell you. This is your place, your home place, or the place you work for, the brand you ride for, and the country of that brand. You know it. You know it like the back of your hand or the inside of your woman's thigh. This compass here, if you ever get turned around, because it can happen even when you know the country, it can help you get to a place that you know, but it's all you need. And at last, don't need no batteries, don't need none of that bullshit. Satellites, no, this here works off the North Pole, like they always have. They say that North Pole, she's moving, but she ain't moving that fast. She'll pretty much still be north as long as you're alive. Get yourself a good compass. Got yourself a signal panel here, and that plastic sack with that signal panel, an extra water bag. You might need to dip out some water from one of them drinking troughs, put some tabs in it and purify it for some reason. If you run out of water and you need it, that'll do you. Another signal mirror. If you're trying to stay in touch out here where cell phones don't work, and you're a long way from anybody, that kind of signaling can do you a world of good. a lighter, because it's almost always easier to start a fire by just flicking this thing than by any other method. Always carry a couple of them. And your Leatherman tool's got a saw on it, but there's no harm in carrying an extra one. It helps you with working with wood. If you're setting a trap or something, carving up a trap trigger, this here saw will help you do it a lot. Help you do a lot of things. Pretty handy to have. You can keep it all in this little kit. You can keep a little light in there in your kit, so you can always see your stuff better without running down your headlamp. You've always got a little backup here. This thing will clip on underneath the vehicle or something where you're working with it. And if you need that light pointed in a particular direction, it rotates around. Real handy to have. Also pretty handy for doctoring on anything. You can clip it on the bill of your baseball cap. Now that gets us to another point. You can clip this light here on the bill of that cap, and it works kind of like a headlamp. You see a lot of fellas who are what we call all hat, no cattle. They wear them big 10-gallon Stetsons all the time. You get out and you're really working and stuff, and you find a lot of fellas, they like to just wear a baseball cap. They're cheap, they're light, they breathe, they don't blow off in the wind so easy, and they do keep the sun out of your eyes. If you need to keep that rain off your neck or something, the sun off the back of your neck when you're a horse all day, then yeah, a big old wide brim hat does work pretty good. But for most days, this here baseball cap will just get you through fine. So you got your packet of survival stuff. Nice little pouch, zip it up. And then here you got some medical stuff. Again, a smart cowboy, he carries medical stuff. And on the front right here, this will double as a survival or a casualty blanket. This here plastic sack, it'll keep you warm better than one of them shiny mylar ones, them space blankets. Maybe they work in space, but they don't work down here on the ground where you got rocks and you got prickly grass and cactus and stuff. Heavy plastic bag like this will work real good. Now, you get out there and you get hurt and you can't go nowhere overnight, you might want to just wrap up in this. Or you're out there in a storm and you can't get back. You can use this for some extra shelter. You get somebody else who's hurt and you're leaving them because you got to go get help for them. You can leave them wrapped up in this, and it'll help keep that core temperature up, keep them from going into shock. Because if you get somebody going into shock, you might have a real problem. So always carry one of them. You already got them heavy trauma items in your hip pocket or in your chaps pocket. And it is chaps, not chaps, you sons of bitches. Chaps is a brand of that Ralph Lauren fella. I don't know who the hell he is, but he ain't never worn a pair of chaps. Anyhow, you got your heavy trauma stuff in your breeches pocket or in your chaps pocket. Well, you got this other medical kit here, and it's got some other stuff in it. Triangular bandage. You can do almost anything with one of them triangular bandages. You can wrap up a snake bite. You can sling a busted arm. You can sling up a busted leg on your dog. You can wrap up a wound on something. Use it to pack a wound on something. Hell, you can use it as a rag to keep the dust out of your hair and eyes. You got that. You can always carry a little bit of an extra bandage here. That's always handy too. Now you get them cuts on yourself or your critters that you don't have band-aids for, they're just a little bit too big. You just take this here crazy glue, just like that super glue they use in the hospital. Even here in this pen form, it just lays right in. I'll close them up real good. Always good to have a tube of this. But you can still carry yourself some band-aids, get yourself a little plastic baggie here, and you carry some insect stuff and some moleskin, because tell you, them riding boots ain't made for walking. Your old cayuse pitches you off. You're going to find some hot spots real quick. You're going to want that moleskin. Carry a few little medications in here. Some of that paramide. That'll keep you from getting the scoots while you're out there on the trail. And it's real miserable. Then this. You always carry something like this, because you're always carrying your water. You want to carry your oral rehydration salts. You're out somewhere and you get a real bad case of dehydration, you come across somebody that's got it. Well, you don't want no snake oil. you want something that's been proven to work. They've been selling snake oil at Cowboys about as long as there have been snakes and cowboys. And since there have been cowboys since right about the time that snake tempted Eve out of the Garden of Eden, us sinners have been trying to keep ahead of them snake oil salesmen. They're always trying to make a buck off cowboys and sinners. People they think won't know better. Well, you use your damn brain. Don't buy no snake oil in some little plastic tube. Just carry your water. Carry stuff that works. Find out what works and you stick with it. Ignore that snake oil. They ain't managed to push it down all our throats yet, and you keep it up and they never will. Y'all might want to add in something like this here. Shemagh, or whatever they call them. Them things that hide jollies wrap their heads in. Every desert dweller knows a good rag like that wrap around your neck, wrap around your head to keep the dust out, keep the sun off the sides of your head and off your neck. Kind of hard to live without one of them. They're real handy. You can soak them in water, an extra cooling effect, and you can use them for all kinds of first aid stuff. A lot of fellas just like to carry a silk handkerchief, and that works pretty good too if you can find a big one. But these are cheap, and they're big, and they work good. That's what I use. I'm a multicultural type like that, I guess. But this is your Ranch EDC. Hopefully y'all fellers, gals out there, you learned something from this. It'll be of use to you. I'll thank you for watching.